Meetup game, perhaps the last meetup game of the year, last meetup game of 2019 happening in this space, this huge space, 10,000 square feet of poker space. Brad Owen back there, capturing some behind the scenes while I'm just about ready to get started and hop in the cash games that are happening up here on this stage, back there. 1-3 today. So like I said, expect some craziness. I'm expecting to give a lot of action today. Looking to get in the mix. I just got that feeling, you know? You know when you get that feeling, you get that itch when you're just, you're itching to get in there, you're itching to see some hands. Maybe even play some hands blind. Definitely play some hands with a straddle and try and do our best. Wish me luck. All right, I promised action. I promised the people who came here that I would be giving a lot of action, and I have delivered. Might have to tone it down a little bit here because it hasn't worked out in my favor so far. Let's take a look at a couple examples here. In this first one, we're looking at the old Queen 7 of spades. I'm gonna go ahead and raise that up to $15. Again, playing 1-3, no limit here. We get two callers from the button and the big blind. Flop ourselves bottom pair, King 9-7, bottom pair, and a backdoor flush draw. Just gonna check it over to the button. That player bets $20. Big blind player calls, I'm gonna call as well with my pair and backdoor stuff available. Turn is the 8 of spades, so we do pick up that flush draw. Check it over to the button again, who bets $45. Big blind calls again. These are pretty reasonable prices to continue with now with a pair and a flush draw. So I call again, we're off to a river, which puts 4 to a straight on the board. Big blind checks, and now usually the only hand that I have to worry about is King 10 from the button. It is possible, but I'm also very unlikely to win with this pair of sevens on this kind of a board. So I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna try and take it down. I'm gonna bet it, turn my pair into a bluff, and I bet 120 or 125. The button snap folds for the most part, and the big blind snap calls with the King 10. So I guess he played it pretty well. He allowed a player such as myself to bluff at it. I guess he figured he wasn't gonna get value from worse. The player on the button did say that he folded 2 pair. The line has merit, the theory has merit, but we ran into it from the player in the big blind. He had the straight. So after that, we lost further money, dusting off a decent amount of chips, showing down king high and queen high. So stuck in the early going here at the Paramount Social Club, dishing out some Christmas presents. It is the holidays after all. We turn the tides a little bit. We find pocket jacks and raise it pre-flop. The flop comes down king high. So I get value on the flop. Turn checks back. The river, there's no further overcards, so we are able to get some value on the river. So I win about $100 with pocket jacks. Shortly after that, we looked down at pocket kings to raise it up to $15. Player on my left in late position puts in a 3-bet to $40. This is a good sign. Folds back over to me. He's only got maybe $220 to $240 in his stack. I don't know if there's too many sizings that are gonna make a whole lot of sense in this 1-3 game. As far as like a 4-bet goes, he's got well under 100 big blinds. So I just decided to rip it in there, especially after I've shown down all these terrible hands, and maybe I'll get less credit.
All in. I haven't seen that on my master's.
I jam it all in and my opponent goes into the tank before deciding on a fold. Would have liked a little bit more action there, and I could size well down for a 4-bet, but again, I don't think it makes too much sense, especially the way I've been splashing around in these games. In this next hand, the low jack open limps into the pot. We looked down at Queen 10 offsuit in the small blind. Couple of Broadway cards. I'm gonna raise it up here. I make it $20 to go, and only that limper calls. The flop comes queen high, so seeing as we're out of position and we have a subpar kicker, could be worse, but could be better. I'm just gonna check it, play some pot control, and he checks it back. Turns a bad card, it's an ace. We're only trying to dodge a couple of overcards to our pair there, but the turn comes an ace, so I check it again and he checks it back. River's mostly a brick. I decide to put out a blocker bet of $5, which my opponent chuckles and calls, and we roll it over and it's good there. Hindsight, of course, I would have liked a C-bet, maybe win a little bit more money, but definitely some merit to playing some pot control. And in this next hand, I have the $6 straddle on. The stakes are going up, the price of poker is going up. $6 it is, and there is a middle position open to $25. There's 2 callers before it gets up back over to us in the straddle, looking down at the best hand ever created in the history of humankind. We're looking down at black pocket aces. Raise it up, $120. That's even on the smaller side, but stacks aren't super deep. A couple of these guys anyway, especially the initial raiser. And he decides to stick all $500 of his stack into the middle. 4-bet jam, folds back over to us. I let him know that we have the best hand possible at the moment. All right, I got the best hand so far. There's another player at the table who is not in the hand who asks if we're running it once or twice.
think you can run it
Good
twice.
night, Pauline.
It's up to you, whatever you want to do.
I'll run it twice.
Twice is good.
Twice is good.
As per usual, I say I don't care, we can do whatever, and the player with pocket queens says he would like to run it 2 times. So, we're running it twice. The first board runs out clean for us. The second board runs out not favorable for us. It comes queen high on the flop, and we do not re-get there. Don't improve after that. So, little unfortunate, some run bad there. We end up chopping with the pocket aces versus pocket queens on 2 boards. Could be worse, could lose it twice. We're in the red at the moment. Lost an opportunity to get back into the black there with pocket aces. Lots of time left. We got 7 games going back here. Lots of people to go mix it up with. I'm gonna try and avoid these king high and queen high showdowns, and maybe try to play a little bit more solid, but who knows, we'll see. Cheers. Cheers, man. All right, guys, we've got a little bit of a good news, bad news situation happening over here at Paramount. So let's get into some bad news right off the bat. So in this hand, the button straddle is on, and I looked down at 9-8 of spades from under the gun. Super playable, so I make it $20 to go. Low jack calls, and the button calls. So 3 of us heading to a flop, which comes 10-8-3 with 2 clubs. So I think checking or betting are both on the table. Reasons for checking is that it's tough to get called by worse, although there are several draws available out there. Reasons for betting is that we can deny equity from overcard holding. I decided on the latter. I'm gonna bet $30 and both players make the call. So 3 ways to a turn card, which is a 9. It's a pretty good card for us. Should only improve hands better than this 2 pair, such as hands like Queen Jack. So like 2 overcards and a gutter ball type of a situation. But I'm definitely gonna bet it. I don't think giving a free card here would be all that ideal. I'm gonna bet $105. Player in the low jack calls, and the player on the button thinks for a while before making the call. The river is one of the worst cards in the deck. It's the jack of clubs. I'm gonna go ahead and check it here. Pretty standard check, and my opponent puts out a bet. It's a pretty small bet. It's only like $85 or something like that, but it's a pretty terrible river card for us, as mentioned. The only worst river card might be like the queen of clubs. I don't think we have too much choice here. I think we're just a victim of the run out, and I think it's just a pretty straightforward fold, even though it's such a cheap price that he's given us. I don't think it really matters too much. I'm just gonna go ahead and lay it down. I show it, and my opponent is very proud of himself and shows us the king 10 offsuit that he turned into a bluff. So I'm not too sure what he's thinking on the turn there, but it's a pretty straightforward river bet once that card comes. It's unlikely that he's got the best hand. Like I said, I think we're just a victim to the run out, and I'm not sure that we can call. Maybe since he made it so cheap on the river, we're just shrug and call, but doesn't seem all that wise. So that's the bad news, lose that hand. The good news is that the snack selection here at Paramount Social Club is fantastic. Doritos, my favorite chips, even though I'm trying to abstain. I am drinking beer, but I'm avoiding the Doritos. Working on a little mission for my my birthday in January, trying to get in relatively good shape before that. So I'm gonna abstain from the Doritos, but for you guys who are not on an abs mission before your birthday in January, come on out to Paramount Social Club and enjoy the snack selection. Great beverage selection as well. Free coffee, free pool to be played. There's some chess tables back here. There's a match happening right now. Foosball table on top of all of the poker action happening back there. So anyway, we're stuck well into Stuckville at this point. I don't know. I'm not sure how much we're down. These Christmas presents, they are being delivered. All right, guys, we are getting down to it here. Starting to get a little bit tired here. Started playing around 2 p.m. and we are approaching midnight. Yeah, starting to feel it for sure. Bunch more hands though to check out. And in this one, I have the button straddle on. So these games are actually playing pretty big for 1-3 games. Since the straddle is on quite frequently, that makes it a 1-3-6 game. That means it's bigger than a 2-5 game. That's basically a 5-5 game. And the opening raises are anywhere from $25 to $40. So a $40 raise, that's like a 5-10 game. Anyway, let's see. I have the button straddle on. There's 3 limps before I look down at ace-9 of clubs. Could take this a couple ways. Happy to play it multi-way. Try and cooler somebody with a flush over flush situation, or we could just raise it up, play a bigger pot in position, and that's what I choose. I make it $36 to go, 30 more on top of the straddle, and we see 2 callers, I believe. Flop comes pretty good for our hand. It comes 9 high. It's quite connected and wet though. It's 9-7-5 with 2 hearts. There's 1 check, and a player in middle position, the player in between us, he bets $80, leads right into me. He's only got maybe $280 total with so many cards where I'm not going to be sure exactly what to do. And top pair, top kicker here. I'm going to make him pay the maximum to see any more cards. So I raise it up to $280 effective, and the player on my left folds before the better. He calls it off. I go ahead and show him what he's up against, and it turns out we are up against a better hand. He's got pocket jacks here. We're going to need to find some improvement here. It does not happen on the turn, and it does not happen on the river either. So the old limp call with the pocket jacks does the job. Didn't help that we flop ourselves top pair, top kicker in a bloated straddle pot, and he's only got $280 total on the flop. So probably some run bad there. Could have maybe taken a different line, different approach to the hand altogether, but in this hand there's not going to be a whole lot that we can do about it. We're playing bomb pots galore in this meetup game. Every dealer change, and even maybe more frequently than that, we are seeing double board bomb pots, $10 a person, and in this one we've got the 10-9 off suit. There's 2 or 3 checks before a player bets a small amount of either $20 or $25. We've got ourselves top pair on one board, and we've got an open ender on the other board. So for that amount, $25, that looks kind of weak. I'm gonna try and put these guys to the test a little bit. We've got at least very good equity. Top pair, maybe not the best hand, but the open ender should have good equity. And you would think with a combination of both of those that we should be able to push it a little bit and try and take this thing down. So I raise it up to $275. It folds back around to a player who was just before the better, a player who had checked. He calls all in for this amount, and then the better folds it. So once again, we open it up, and it turns out we are up against Queen 9. So that hand is flopped top pair on both of these boards. So we're gonna need to find some improvement. On the turns, we do not find improvement, and on the river, we do not find improvement. Kind of a trend here, flopping okay perhaps, and then running into some better hands and not finding any improvement. Lose this hand, lose this bomb pot, that's another $300 down the old drain. All right, in this next hand, the straddle is back on, once again playing 1-3-6, and we're looking down at a premium hand, pocket kings, raising it up to $30. We see a call from the player on the button and a call from the player in the big blind. So 3 ways in which we flop ourselves an overpair. The flop comes jack high. I'm gonna bet $65, charge some flush draws, charge some top pair holdings, and who knows what else. 65 it is, the button makes the call, big blind makes the fold. So heads up to a turn card, which is not a good card. It's an offsuit ace. I'm gonna slow it down here, I check it, and the player on the button bets $150. So I don't think we can fold for this bet. I think it's a pretty straightforward call. You can have lots of flush draws. You can have hands that we're still ahead of, so definitely have to call here. The river is a brick. The flush draw bricks out. I check it over to my opponent again, who is not done betting. This time $225. So I definitely don't love the situation, and I think I'm starting to get a little bit frustrated in this hand. I think I can maybe find a fold, but I am really not in the mood. It's not really that big of a bet. It's not a very polarizing bet. So maybe that should make me want to fold it, but we're getting a pretty good price here. And like I said, the flush draw missed. I don't know. I just wonder if the typical player in a 1-3 game is going to be betting any other type of a hand, or if he's just going to take it to showdown. So I think I make a frustration call there, and he shows us pocket jacks. The other factor that I probably should have taken into consideration that I didn't was this is the same player who had limp called with pocket jacks in the other hand, the hand where we had top pair, top kicker, that ace-9. So if he's playing that cautiously and that conservatively, I think he's probably not going to be bluffing all that often. He's playing a little bit on the nitty side, and we should probably let those pocket kings go, especially when the overcard comes to our pocket pair. So maybe a little bit of run bad there, but maybe exacerbated a little bit by me giving a little bit too much action in that hand. Okay, one more hand to look at here. The straddle is on once again. Early position raised to $20. We have jack 10 off suit in late position. Happy to give more action. I'm just Santa Claus out here giving the action left and right. We make the call, and the player on the button calls. So 3 ways to Finally, a favorable flop, which comes Jack 10 3. Flop ourselves top 2 pair. The initial raiser puts out a bet, I think somewhere around $40. I'm just gonna flat call here. The board is fairly dry. There are some hands where we don't mind if they improve. Just gonna slow play it, maybe lay the trap here a little bit. Not sure if that's necessary, but that's what I choose. The player on the button calls as well. So we are going 3 ways to a turn card. A good one for us. It's another jack. So we have the nuts here on the turn. This time the initial raiser checks it over to us. I'm gonna lay the trap once again. I don't know if this is wise, you know, all the time. It seems like there's a decent amount of action to be found here at the Paramount Club. We could probably get some action from some hands, but I also want to give a hand like Ace King, Ace Queen, King Queen, Queen 9, 8 9. There's all these drawing hands that are going to just shut down facing a board pairing situation and one where we bet it. A lot of those hands are just going to shut down, and I'm happy to keep all those in. Maybe lay the trap here. I check it. The button checks it back. The river is an interesting card. It's an offsuit king, and it gets more interesting when the initial better, the initial raiser, bets 225 or 250, somewhere in that range. So at this point, I've only got 650 or 660 in my stack. If he's got us beat here with a pocket kings or king jack, seems a little unlikely, but it's definitely possible. He's just gonna get it all, and we're gonna call it a night. So I'm gonna jam the rest of that $680 in there. Try and get the maximum versus Ace King and who knows what else. I ended up jamming it in there, and the button goes into the tank. Button is thinking about it for a decent little while before folding. The initial raiser snap calls. So I announced the full house, and my opponent is not pleased. He says, "Oh, are you serious?" And that's a good sign. So we are good in this hand. He shows us the Ace Queen, makes the nut straight Broadway on the river. Turns out the slow play is a good one in the end because it allows him to get there, make a straight. That's not gonna cut it versus a full house. We finally find some run good and maybe some good play. I don't know, maybe we just got lucky. But we finally scoop a big pot here at the tail end of this session. Double up our stack, and I think that's gonna do it for me because I'm pretty exhausted. It's like quarter to midnight, and I've been playing for damn near 10 hours, handing out Christmas presents to these friendly vlog watching people that are here at this meetup game. Yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up.
Yeah. Okay.
Small 10-hour session.
Yeah, y'all started too, right?
Yeah.
Did you break even, Andrew? Or?
What's that?
Did you break even at least?
No, I did not. I gave some Christmas presents.
Hey, can I get a photo real quick, Andrew?
Yeah.
Alright, man, I'll stop by. I need to get one too now. Good luck tomorrow, man.
Thanks, dude.
Oh, you want this, Andrew?
I think I missed the blind probably, so it's all good.
You're good. They don't make you pay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right, well, let's see a free hand. What could go wrong?
What did you do?
All right, guys, well, this is a little bit unexpected, but I knew I was gonna be playing a tournament today, but I didn't know I would be making the final 7 of this tournament. The bubble has burst. We are in the money. $150 tournament. Right back here, which I'll show you in a second, is an RFID table. They got a proper setup here at the Paramount Social Club. So we're looking to try and redeem ourselves a little bit from yesterday's cash game debacle, but we'll see. We're pretty short stacked at this point. I might have like 13 big blinds, but we're in the money for 400 and some odd dollars. We did make a deal to pay the bubble, which was one place earlier. Take $100 off first, $100 off second, give that to the bubble. That person just went out, and now there are 7 of us. Moving over to this RFID table, it will be live streamed. By the time you guys are watching this, that will have already happened, but let's go. Let's go see if we can do some damage over here, or at least maybe ladder up. We'll see what happens. All right, guys, heading into this final table action. This is a couple of hands after the 7-handed final table has started. And as you can see on that chart, the average stack is going to be pretty small here, as is expected for a $150 tournament final table. Average stack is about 19 big blinds. Brandon here under the gun, he's got a short stack, micro stack even.
Jams it in there with the 8-6 of spades from under the gun. I've gone through the big blind and the big blind ante, and I'm pretty short myself. I have like 9 big blinds at this point. So after action folds around to me and I look down at 2 9s, it's a premium hand with 9 big blinds. So we're going all in with this hand. What's funny is that David on my left actually picks up the exact same hand, the spade and club variety. But I guess after my shove and then early position shove, he decides he's going to look for a more safe spot to get the money in. He decides to let go of his pocket 9s, and I find myself in a very good situation versus 2 unders. So we're after the flop in a dominating position. He does flop himself a pair of 8s, does not find any improvement on the turn, and does not find any improvement on the river. So off to a very good start on this final table. Eliminate an opponent, ladder up a couple $100, and we are now down to 6 players. I wish I could say shortly after that this next hand is an interesting one, but we did not find any interesting hands for a very long time. Found a couple playable hands here and there, but no major confrontations, no really good spots. And this hand actually takes place about 50 minutes later on, and we still have 6 players. So after you go through the blinds increasing 50 minutes later and having not lost any players, I've not really done too much with my stack. At this point, the blinds are now 15,000 and 30,000. I've only got 225,000 left in my stack, so that leaves me with a solid 7.5 big blinds. We see an early position raise from Jared, and I look down at a pocket pair, 7s to be exact, and with 7.5 big blinds, we're going with it. We're jamming all that 225,000 into the middle. Folds back around. Jared's obviously going to make the call with the ace queen, and we are in a flipping situation. The flop is an interesting one as it brings an ace, but it brings 3 spades, and we have the only spade in our hand. The turn is not good, but it does bring some chop opportunities to us. I'll happily take a chop going into this river card, but it is not to be. We cannot improve, and we are out of this tournament in 6th place. Fire the cards into the muck in a disgusted manner before getting up and being a gentleman and shaking everyone's hand.
Well, guys, always bittersweet. Cash a tournament, make the final table, and then reach the end of your poker tournament life. We get the money in good there. We get it in with pocket 7s versus ace queen, but it's not to be. Did not run good in this tournament. Pretty happy with the way I played. That's it. We're out of there for $600 and some odd. Unfortunately, that's not going to cover the cash game losses, but a fun trip down here to Texas, specifically Houston, specifically the Paramount Social Club. Check these guys out if you're in the area. It's cool that they have this RFID table. How many clubs have an RFID table for the final table where you can grab all the footage if you make it that far into the tournament? So thanks to those guys for having us out here, and that's a wrap. Onward. That's probably the last meetup game of 2019. A year of many meetup games. The meetup game brand will definitely continue into 2020. You know, we want to do some slightly different things. Very fun things to come. We're gonna have a Los Angeles residency. We'll be there once a month for the first 6 months at least. Looking to play some bigger stakes, looking to play some more games with all you fun people, and looking to go get some sleep right now. I'm back in the hotel now, but I would be remiss if I did not mention all of these amazing, fantastic gifts that people between Maryland and here in Texas. A bottle of Ouzo, a beer koozie holder for when you're in the shower, when you have a nice shower beer. That's from Ben Adler, of course. All these packets of vegan, vegetarian cookies, Sweet Cheats by Jill. A little statue from Kazakhstan, a poker chip from the Greenbrier, it's a poker spot casino in West Virginia. T-shirt from the Poker Beast that he designed. A bottle of Texas Crown Club whiskey. This is some artwork that's being shipped to my place in Las Vegas. Apparently it was too big to $25 gift card to Bobby's Burger Palace. There was one of those in Maryland, but there's also one at the Aria. I know that. That's from Joe. Amazing. Christmas came early. Best vlog watchers in the entire universe.